back today. If you forgot, last week we did an activity where, with y'all's effort, y'all kind of earned the ability to just postpone this till Monday. That said, what we cover today isn't everything that will be in that IRAD.
So how many chapters is this?
Yeah, so this module is 5 parts of 5 chapters for the whole module. What's that?
Wasn't the last one 5 too? It was.
No, the last one was only 2 chapters, 26 and 27.
But your parts of 17 in it.
Oh, right. So module 3 was 3 chapters. Module 4 was 2 chapters.
Yeah. So 5.
So 5 for both modules.
Yeah.
This is 5 in one module.
In one module?
Yeah.
Oh.
I love Abraham's reaction.
And we're being tested over.
And how many module 6 for?
Module 6, it's 4, but I'm telling you, it's not a lot of content.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, keep you to that word.
Yeah. So, and we'll kind of have plenty of time to cover all of this. Look how we technically have 7 class periods to go over module 5, which is the most we've had for any module.
Okay.
The biggest module before this was, module 4, where we had 4 class periods. This one we'll kind of go at it slowly. Today, focusing on digestion. Monday, we'll kind of do circulatory systems. Wednesday next week, we'll recap. So we'll have plenty of time to just kind of check ourselves along the way. Kind of stop, say, okay, let's make sure we've got digestion down, and then move on to circulation. Then we make sure we have that down. Then we move on to reproductive system. So we'll take it a bit more slowly this time. And then ecology. I mean, it's like, this is exaggerating it, but a wolf that eats a bunny, what is the wolf called?
Predator.
As I mean, it's a little bit more than that, but there is a lot of that, right? What is a predator-prey interaction? It's a bit more logical and less memorization than what we'll see with Module 5.
And the IRAD is Monday?
Yeah, so this IRAD has been moved to Monday. Then we'll have a second IRAD for Module 5 the following Monday.
Mm-hmm.
And then, depending on how we're doing, if we'll kind of check in at this point, at the end of Module 5, if we are feeling a little bit of burnout, we can move this IRAT to after Thanksgiving break too.
Okay.
So we'll try it. We have room to move this schedule around a little bit by a couple days.
And then the final is when?
The final is on some day. It's December 12th, actually, I know this. My birthday's December 11th. It's the day after. December 12th. I want to say from 2:15 to 4:15. But I'll double check that. You can actually look it up. Actually, no. We'll find this out right now.
So
because this is always a strange...
So we have about a week between.
This is a strange class.
And the final.
Because it's longer than other classes. The schedule doesn't fall in an obvious place. I don't know,
That's main campus.
yeah, what? Okay, so ours is, we meet Mondays, Wednesdays.
2:30, no.
Okay,
Yeah,
Monday,
2:15.
Wednesday, oh no, this isn't,
Yeah, it says Monday, Wednesday, or Monday only.
or Monday only.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, wait a second, hold up.
So it's the 9th. So it's 3 days after the exam.
Yeah.
That's brutal.
That's.
Wait, 3 days.
We have reading days.
No,
Oh,
yeah, 4 days.
4. That's.
Yeah. So, but keep this in mind when you're doing this, this is essentially preempting you for that final.
Yeah.
You have hopefully unit exam 3 down, so that you can just focus then on unit exam 1 and 2 material. Let me double check this schedule though.
I'm not so confident on this.
Because I could have sworn. was something else
Do
too.
we have a question?
Last start
I think I
time.
skipped
No,
another week.
yeah,
I
that's
don't remember.
technically
skipped the
right.
second
Okay,
one.
yeah. Friday the 9th.
I don't remember.
So we'll kind of have a few different opportunities to kind of review as well. Again, this ecology module is pretty straightforward, so this last day we can kind of treat as review for exam 3 also. We've got the SI resources available to us. So a lot, it is a lot, but, and speaking of a lot, there's one assignment I want to bring to your attention now. It's very easy though, and honestly is just based off of your opinion. It's an easy kind of 100% here. So if you go to coursework, you should see a new section up called self and peer evaluation.
Okay.
So if you remember from the syllabus, part of your grade is this teamwork component. So if you scroll up, you'll see, yeah, this peer review makes up 5% of the grade, and it's based off of 2 mini assignments. This is that first assignment, sort of halfway through the semester, just checking in to see how you feel like your team dynamic is. It's 2 parts. One is a really simple survey where you just click, yes, I think my team is doing well. No, I don't think there are any issues. Or if there are, be honest with it. It's totally anonymous. It's actually even anonymous on my end. I only see what team it came from. I don't know, once everyone has submitted it, I'll just be able to see that you have submitted it. I won't see what your answers are. But when you go to this section, this self and peer evaluation, you'll just see one folder, midterm peer evaluation. Make sure you read through this, because what happened in previous semesters is people kind of do the survey and they think they're done. So doing the survey opens up the next portion of the assignment where it's much smaller than the reflection. It's just 2 paragraphs total, not like a paragraph per section. And you just kind of give input on each of these. If everything is fine, it should be straightforward, but if you do have an issue that you want to bring up, this is a way to do it anonymously. Basically what I'll do is I'll look at all of y'all's submissions, and if I see maybe there's an issue with 1 or 2 teams, I'll kind of give each team feedback, and that way, you don't even know which teams aren't doing well. Every team will get feedback, but we can kind of see if there's any easy solutions to make the dynamic a little more cohesive. So easy points, it's due a week from now. So it's due by next Wednesday. And then once I have everyone's submissions, I'll just take a look through them really quickly, see if there's any issues that we can fix. But do try to get this done. Honestly, it probably can all be done in 15 to 20 minutes. Shouldn't take too much time.
Right now.
A lot of these are pretty simple answers. Are you an active team participant? I think I am. I think I could do better in this. Not much to it. The other thing that will open up, we have reflection assignments after every exam. I'll mention this again on Monday, because I know this is a lot of information. But the next reflection assignment will be made available on Monday. This first reflection assignment was the most time intensive. You're actually writing out pretty substantially. With these other 2, they're more like survey formats. So there's not much to those. They take a lot less time to fill out. Anything about those? I know it's maybe a lot. Any questions in general?
Oh, when is the next QR?
What's that?
When is the next QR?
Assignment?
Oh, QR assignment, that will appear in module 6.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't even make the QR assignments, and the person who's in charge of it hasn't even sent it to me yet. So there's a slight chance that it's just these 2, but we'll see.
Yeah,
Honestly, though, knowing that it's going to focus on ecology, my guess is it'll be pretty easy.
Yeah,
For
that-
most part, I sent back the QR assignments.
Oh, you
The
did?
average for this last QR assignment was much higher than it was for Hardy Weinberg.
Mhm.
We can kind of expect the ecology one to be pretty similar too.
The last one was pretty weird. Like,
Pretty what?
like weird.
Weird?
Yeah.
Easy?
Like, yeah, it was weird. Like, format. Like, one of the questions was, I don't know how to answer it really.
Yeah, I mean, so, these assignments are meant to kind of gauge different aspects of what we call quantitative reasoning. So, part of that is, one aspect of quantitative reasoning is pretty easy to think of. Quantitation is usually math formulas. That's what we tend to think of, and that's where Hardy Weinberg really came in, is memorize a couple formulas and know how to apply them. With this one, it's kind of a less, I'd argue more utilized, but less obvious form of quantitative reasoning, and that's interpreting data. So the goal of this last assignment was, can you look at a graph and tell me what the trend is, what the graph is depicting? And most of y'all, with a couple of exceptions, kind of had that part down. So it really, in part, this is something that kind of UHD in general looks at. It goes beyond just 1302, and it gives them an idea of how to structure classes in the future, how to structure degree programs. It gives us a sense of, okay, at freshman level, at a 1000 level course, what is y'all's background knowledge? And so, if this was easy, then in the future, we might kind of breeze through graph interpretation and spend more time on, formulas and whatnot. All right, y'all ready to dig into Module 5?
Possibly.
Love the enthusiasm. Let's dive right into it. So, what we kind of covered today is not going to be everything you see on the IRAT. The IRAT technically goes over, I think, digestion and circulation. So the functions of a digestive tract and the heart and all of the vessels and arteries that it's connected to. So that's just two things that apply to animals, right? Digestion, blood. With respect to plants, the sort of analogs are nutrition, the way they get nutrients, and the way that they circulate water instead of blood. So all of that in IRAT, in the next IRAT. Today we'll kind of dig into plant nutrition and digestion. And so we'll start things off with actually the first activity, focusing on plant nutrition. So I'm going to hand these forms out. They're also on Blackboard. But I kind of want to walk you through this first figure you're looking at, because it comes out of left field. It's a graph that honestly I've never seen beyond this exercise. But it is a resource that plant biologists and plant ecologists use. So just to be aware of it. But yeah, there's also digital copies that are on Blackboard.
I don't remember doing this in high school.
Yeah, 29, 33, 34.
Note the same percent and slit and slit should always add 100%.
All right, so yeah, before y'all kind of get started with it, you'll see this weird sort of triangle graph. So, y'all are mostly familiar now with a two-dimensional graph, one that just has an x-axis and a y-axis. So this is a weirder graph. And it's not totally obvious how to use it, but we'll look at the first example, which is kind of row A here. So what you do is essentially where it says percent sand, you kind of follow to that point. So here it says to go to percent sand, 75%. So an environment, this is essentially a soil environment that is 75% sand. So you would go to 75%. And this is the percent sand axis. That increases from right to left, so actually backwards. And so the next axis you're going to want to kind of go to is, there is the clay percent, so what percent clay and what percent silt. So these are the three main components of most soil environments that plants live in. The three primary components are sand, clay, and silt. And depending on the sort of proportions of each of these, it kind of dictates what kind of plants can actually grow in that type of soil. So if you've ever been to Houston Garden Center or bought soil from anywhere, all soils are a little bit different from each other. And there's a different soil for growing vegetables than for growing indoor plants that don't produce many flowers but are super green. And basically what they're changing are the proportions of each of these. And so what we'll kind of do here is you're actually going to, so first go to sand and you'll kind of make a dot here. You'll see some lines kind of running from sand to the left, like up and to the left. You're gonna sort of follow, go parallel to those lines until you get to, you'll see the percent silt says 10%. So imagine kind of following this line until the 10%, if we draw an imaginary line on silt at 10%, put the dot here, and draw these two lines. Where they meet, you're gonna put the dot there. You could do it the same way as if you kind of did it with clay, but it's easier to just work with two of these points. Sand and silt is the one I usually recommend, just because we have lines coming from them. So the reason you don't have to do clay from there is, what are all of these? What are these symbols here? The percents, right? So if you know the percentages of two of these, you by definition know the percentage of the third component, because what do percentages have to all add up to?
100.
100%, right? So by default, if you kind of make another imaginary line on where this falls, it would be falling right at 10% clay too. So, 15% clay. Because 75 plus 15 plus 10 adds up to 100%. So try to see if you can make sense of it now, knowing how to work with this weird triangular graph, and use it to fill in the rest of this information. So, for example, with B, we know the percentages of sand, clay, and silt. So can you find or identify what soil texture that falls under? So the reason this we call sandy loam is because the sandy loam kind of area is right about here.
10% slit.
This whole area is sandy loam. So if the dot falls within that region, that tells you the soil type.
Would that just be clay? I'm thinking this is just clay. I'm thinking the second one's just clay.
It'll take about 15
I'm not
minutes
sure how that
to go through that.
I'm not-
There
yeah,
are
I did
questions
this
on
in
the
high school,
back.
I remember. I've seen it before, but I don't
and we
know how
can
to-
kind of revisit.
This has confused me so much. I think this is clay. I would say this is clay because it's.
Okay. You understand how they got these? Right.
We were given that.
Right, but you know how it was worked here.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay. Can you explain that to me, please? I don't understand.
Okay, so the way I'm looking at it, so the way I'm looking at it is, okay, let's look at the 10% sand, and let's follow the line.
10% sand for B?
Yes.
Okay.
So let's follow that line that connects to C, and I'm just following it. And then I'm looking at the 80% clay. I'm looking where the 80% for clays, and it hits that line. And then I'm looking where that 10% slit hits, and it's clay. You see what I mean? So
So it'll be right here.
yeah.
Okay. How about when it's not given?
Well, we just do the math. Remember, he said it's all supposed to be equal to 100, so 75. So that means the slit is 25.
So for C, you would start at 40 for sand,
40 sand.
and then you would go to
About 35 clay, which is 3 foam. Yeah, which would be like right here. And then I have to find the 20%, the 25% slit. So let's say that be clay loam. I'd say that'd be clay loam. So
okay, let me retrace this. 40 to 25.
yeah, so
40.
I'm following the line.
Right,
And then it goes to clay. I'm following the line up until we're at 35%.
Gotcha. Okay.
And that gets me there. And then I find 25%, and it should hit around here as well.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
20 and 30.
So this one, 10, follow it.
Follow it until
35.
I connect to the clay, which will be right here.
No, for the last one.
Oh, for the last one. So for the last one, it would be I started 40. Okay, so you started 40. Or I started 40, and I follow it up until I hit, about that 35 slit, which would be here, and then I let that 25 slit, which also gets there on the clay, so it's clay as well. Which would get yeah.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the last one.
Yeah.
It says 10, move it down to 35.
So this would be 35 down here.
And then,
Yeah.
55 would be,
10.
oh, which one?
What do you mean?
So it's like, jump.
So
10,
C.
and go to 35.
I go to 10. So you start with the sand, then the clay, then the slit.
So we would clear them.
Oh, so
Oh.
slit.
So
sand,
bottom, left,
clay.
right.
Bottom.
35 would be
Bottom,
s-
left, right.
Okay. So
So
here we're
ten.
at 10. Now we go down clay, we go here.
90.
And the 55, we go up a little. Maybe. And so it would be right here.
So now I'm looking at the 10% sand. And then I'm looking to get the 10% sand up until it's 35% clay, which is around here, and then the 25%. And this confuses me right here when I get to this part. Like,
Yeah, because
like
you have
the-
to like scoot it
Yeah.
to make it fit right here. Wait, 55.
Professor, they close?
Yep.
Alright, so I'm confused.
It's straight.
Yeah. Oh, I remember doing this in high school, but I remember sucking it up.
Oh, yeah, I did.
So, well, first I'm gonna ask, are these two right?
So let's see.
Wait,
You got, I'd go 10, then kind of keep going up until I hit.
until
Yeah.
you hit where it connects with the 80 line.
Yeah, pretty
and then,
much.
And then the 35% makes around here.
Mm-hmm.
So that's clay.
Yeah.
And then did that for the second one for C, and we got clay loam.
40, about 35. Yeah, so this is going to be right on that line essentially.
Right here.
Wait, which?
35. So it's
Yeah, yeah. So right there in clay loam.
yeah, and then now I'm confused on this one. This is what confusing me.
All right. Let's see, 10. Just kind of going that same line
10.
that you went until 80, but then yeah.
It's,
So
it gives me a slitty clay loam, but then what do I do with the 55 slit?
well, so you're kind of following this. So you can do this two ways. If you imagine that this axis is just a horizontal line, you could almost like, can I get a, yeah, like a piece of paper. Actually, yeah, even that notebook.
Okay, yeah.
So what I would do, yeah, another way to do this would be look at 35 and make a horizontal line there.
Mm-hmm.
And so this 10, you just want to run it until you run straight into that line that we've just made.
Okay.
Yeah, and then, yeah, it should put you right at about, yeah.
And then, so that 55 hits around, it should hit around here.
Yeah, yeah, so that 55, if it were following these lines, is gonna hit right on this line too. So right at something clean line.
Okay.
Is it because the lines were like not that we did?
So you draw
Sorry
10,
about that.
then you draw your 35.
No, but you already have 10, so just like.
Right.
Yeah.
So then 35 here.
So it's like a bit, this is it basically.
Okay, I
Oh, silty. I said slitty.
see. Assume that someone gave you a house plan. Yes. For each of the problems, just what will happen to the leaves. Water deficiency, they're gonna be down.
Okay. Wouldn't they all be down?
Some of them curl.
Are we supposed to just do the first question, or are we supposed to do question 2 as well?
Yeah, go ahead and do them all front and back as much as you can.
Water deficiency? Yeah, so they would be dying basically, like they'd be, I guess like dry.
Yeah.
I would
From what
just
I
say-
know, it's like a deeper green, and they start going down.
They
Like
start-
instead of
they start-
standing like this.
Yeah. I don't know how, I just don't know how to describe it, just say dry.
Mhm.
I would just put dry.
Mhm.
Dry, going down.
So now we're describing how a plant would be during certain deficiencies.
Yeah, wouldn't they all just be leaves turning down?
Some of them curl, some turn yellow. and
These
some-
turn yellow.
Which one?
Water, the leaves? Yeah, water deficiency.
Dry out and
Over water.
I don't know, I've never seen nitrogen deficiency. How do I explain nitrogen?
In plants.
Yeah, Google nitrogen.
Pale yellowish green.
And I was like, that's exactly what my leaves look like. It had already died.
So they have potassium deficiency?
Yeah, it had a potassium deficiency, yeah. Depending on the plants, it'll look a little bit different, but for the tomatoes, it looked exactly like this. Just kind of burning, mostly at the edges, but kind of throughout. I thought I was just, like the sun was like literally burning my plant, but in terms of the temperature, it was perfectly fine. So yeah, it looks wilted, but I almost describe it as even burnt. And how about phosphorus deficiency, team 3? What does that end up looking like? What color? Yeah, reddish or purplish. Yeah, so it can look pretty cool. Sometimes it looks like this. So it's at least a cool way for your plant to die.
How does a plant have a phosphorus deficiency?
So, well, I mean, if there isn't phosphorus in the soil, it'll just kind of run out. And actually what the plant does, it kind of goes into emergency protocol and starts diverting energy so that kind of a lot of the photosynthesis is just happening closer to the main vein of each leaf. And what happens to the sort of edges of the plant is they kind of shut down their photosynthesis and they go through to just sort of stay a little sturdier. They start making what are called anthocyanins. You don't need to know this, but it's basically just something to make the cell a little bit sturdier. It doesn't require as much water as a result, and it doesn't require any phosphorus. But one thing that just happens as a side effect is when it's making these anthocyanins, they're purplish reddish in color, and so it makes the leaves look purple and red at the edges.
Can you reverse it just by giving them that phosphorus?
Yeah. Yeah, you give it phosphorus, and if it's not too late, then yeah, it'll start to regain its color again. It'll kind of, yeah, it's just a sort of emergency protocol for these plants. But yeah, that sometimes the edges will start to look reddish and purplish. Sometimes farmers and agriculturists, botanists will select for these traits. And this is actually one of the ways we get purple cauliflower. It's just regular cauliflower where they've kind of tweaked the soil for it to maximize the production of these anthocyanins.
Why would they?
Purple's cool. You're the one who said you wanted to do this. You thought purple was cool.
Oh, yeah.
See? Sometimes that's the only excuse you need.
Wait, but does it have
You're
to
telling
be
me if you see two cauliflowers priced the exact same and one of them's purple, you're not going to grab the purple one? You're not going to grab. You're not going to grab any of them.
I don't eat cauliflower.
Yeah, there you go. Well, then there you go. Fine.
Interesting.
I didn't even know plants.
Fine.
had
Abraham hates vegetables. We get it.
No, like, I guess don't. I've never eaten cauliflower.
It's good. I don't like the cauliflower crust pizza thing though. I'm not a big fan of that.
What?
But yeah. It's a whole thing now. Yeah, pizza crust made out of cauliflower. Not a big fan of it, but some people are into it.
Cauliflower rice?
Cauliflower rice.
I
like that
Yeah,
one.
it's fine.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's all right. Yeah.
I don't know what any of these is.
Yeah, well,
Basically
you're not
just
hip.
cauliflower cut up really tiny and cooked.
So that's just cauliflower.
Rice.
All right, so, okay, here there are a couple more critical thinking questions in the back, if anyone got to this. So the first one is talking about mycorrhizae. So a term from the previous exam come to haunt us again. And so it's this situation. So you're in charge of an experiment where in one set of pots you've got them in sterile soil, meaning there's no foreign fungi or bacteria in that soil. And then another set of pots that are grown in sterile soil that just has the mycorrhizal fungi in it. At the end of the experiment, one set of plants on average, those plants weigh 38.5 grams. The other one weighs a little bit more, 47.6 grams. You lost your notebook though. You're a crappy scientist and you don't remember which one is which. But you're pretty sure the plants with the fungi had the larger weight. Why do you think this might be the case?
The fungi retain more water.
What's that?
Fungi retain water.
Oh, okay, yeah. So the fungi retain water, might add more mass. What else? So, you know, so maybe you say, okay, yes, I think it has larger weight. Maybe they have more water. Also, it's a plant with an extra stuff on it. Sometimes the explanation is obvious, right? The plant has fungi on it. So a plant with fungus, plant plus fungus equals more than just plant.
Plant plus fungus.
But then a student comes in and says, you know, or a friend of yours says, you know, how can this be if mycorrhizal fungi are taking sugars from the plants? Shouldn't those plants be smaller? So now we're talking about a situation where maybe the fungi have been separated and the plant still weighs more than the other plant. Carlina? Yeah.
The plant makes more sugar than it needs, so it trades that with the fungus to get minerals, and it uses those minerals to get bigger.
Yeah, so maybe even if it is losing sugar and maybe it's actually needs some of that sugar, the payoff is still greater than that amount lost. So even if it, you know, wasn't producing too much sugar and excess of sugar, what it gets from the fungi, those nutrients that the fungi are giving the plant, kind of overcompensate for it. Remember that this is a mutualistic interaction, meaning both parties benefit. Fungi get something from the roots of the plant, but the fungi at the same time are kind of converting nutrients from the soil into usable nutrients for the plant that otherwise the plant wouldn't be able to access. And so, if you're a plant in sterile soil without that fungi around, you're never going to be able to access those nutrients. You need the mycorrhizal fungi in order to access those. We'll talk about other agents of kind of this middleman for plants when we talk about different types of bacteria that plants use for nutrition. But what I want to talk about last on this is question 4 here about acid rain.
Well, that's acid rain.
What's that?
That's acid rain?
Yeah. So acid rain, acid precipitation, literally acid rain. Basically, it's acidic because it has all of these hydrogen ions within the water that's falling. Acidity is really just an abundance of hydrogen ions. So when we are talking about acid rain, which is a real thing, it's just water with an overabundance of these hydrogen ions. One effect of acid rain is it depletes the soil of nutrients, such as calcium, potassium, magnesium. So how does acid rain wash these nutrients from the soil? Anyone have any idea as to the process that causes, acid rain falling on soil to result in those nutrients just going away?
You kill the soil.
What's that?
Kill the soil.
It kills itself?
Yeah, you kill the soil.
Oh, it kills the soil? Yeah?
I guess.
Okay, yeah, let's hear it.
So you have water mixed with lots of extra hydrogen ions, and then you're putting it into soil that has like salts of these various potassium, calcium, magnesium. So
Yep.
that dissolves those salts into the solution, and then it just gets replaced with the hydrogen, and then the calcium and the potassium just wash away.
Yeah, so it's sort of like that. So when we're talking about soil, one of those components that we saw, those 3 major components of soil, which are sand, silt, and what's the third one? Clay. Yeah,
Yeah.
clay. All clay actually are literal clumps in the soil that are themselves negatively charged. So basically clay, if you think of soil as never this homogeneous mixture that's kind of evenly dispersed, what it actually consists of is kind of a sandy and silty, the most of it is sandy and silty, and then clay clumps throughout. And the more clay there is, the more of these clumps there are. But they're all sort of negatively charged at the perimeter, at the outside of these clay clumps. And so if you remember sort of basic chemistry, negative likes positive, opposites attract. And so soil, usually the most of the nutrients are right at the edge of these clay clumps. So if you look at the wording of that question 4, all of those nutrients that it was talking about are positively charged. And so they're all kind of existing near these clay clumps. The thing is, when acid rain falls, it's carrying these hydrogen ions. And in general, the smaller the molecule, the better it is at actually binding to these opposites. And so what hydrogen kind of does is just push all these other nutrients out of the way. So when the acid rain hits the soil, it's just better at fighting for this position in the line. It'll bump the calcium out of the way.
So it just cuts in line.
Yeah, and then the acid rain brought with it, these hydrogen ions are inside of water, right? So once the calcium gets dislodged from the clay it was bound to, the water just as a result washes it away. So hydrogen pushes the positively charged nutrients out of the soil, and then the water that it came in washes it away. Does that kind of make sense how that works in that sense? So yeah, acid rain is just hydrogen plus H2O. The hydrogen moves the nutrients out of the soil, the H2O washes it away. So yeah, this is just the nature of most nutrients, not all, but most nutrients being positively charged, and so soil gets depleted as a result. It doesn't just, so acid rain on top of just burning your flesh off or whatever the movies have you believe, it also depletes the soil, which is even crueler than burning your face off. And for the last part, I'll kind of bring this up with a slide. Plant nutrition kind of often involves relationships with other organisms, non-plants. So we saw that a little bit with mycorrhizae. So mycorrhizae are fungi, so they're not even in the same kingdom as plants. But they form this important mutualism. They actually make it so that plants can thrive in soil environments. Without them, plants are handicapped in a sense. They need that fungus in order to get some nutrients they couldn't otherwise acquire. They also rely on another kingdom, not just fungi, but specifically bacteria. So nitrogen is actually kind of the most limiting nutrient for plant growth. Without enough nitrogen, the plants can't grow big and tall. That's why most fertilizers are essentially just nitrogen focused. So if you kind of go to Garden Center or Walmart and get a bag of soil that kind of promises, good development of your fruits or vegetables, it's mostly nitrogen within that soil. They're sort of packed with nitrogen. The thing is, even though they need nitrogen, they can only absorb it in certain forms. So they can't just absorb nitrogen from the atmosphere. Nitrogen in the atmosphere just exists as N2, so two nitrogen atoms bound together. They can only acquire it in two forms. That's nitrogen in the form of ammonium and nitrogen in the form of nitrate. The thing is, this doesn't really naturally occur all that much. It's not just existing in the atmosphere or found in the soil by itself. It's a byproduct of what bacteria are in the soil are making. So the nitrogen cycle is an important cycle we'll kind of see throughout this module and in module 6 actually. And it's sort of what it describes is this specifically when we think of cycles, we're thinking of a circle, right? A loop that is continuous. And the nitrogen cycle can be thought of in terms of this atmospheric nitrogen. So nitrogen in the atmosphere starts off as N2. As it goes into the soil, there are some bacteria called nitrogen-fixing bacteria that will convert it into something else. Ammonia, which when bound to hydrogen ions makes ammonium. But basically there's a bacterium that can convert the atmospheric nitrogen into something usable, is the important point there. The plants can then uptake that nitrogen and then will release some of that nitrogen back when they die. It'll enter the soil. And then another group of bacteria will turn that back into atmospheric nitrogen, completing the cycle. So the important thing about the nitrogen cycle that you want to make sure you have down are what each of these really 4 main types of bacteria are actually doing. Some of them don't provide any nutrients to the plant. Some of them do, but what they're converting differs from bacteria to bacteria. So for example, there's only one bacterial type that turns that atmospheric nitrogen into something the plant can use. We call those nitrogen-fixing bacteria. It's basically fixing the nitrogen that's in the atmosphere into a way that the plant can absorb. The other type of bacteria converts ammonium, it converts nitrogen into ammonium, and thesthese are called ammonifying bacteria. This one might be the easiest one to remember because it has the word ammonium in it. So ammonifying bacteria turn something into ammonium. And what they turn into ammonium is mostly, it says dead organic material, it's poop. It's mostly poop and dead bodies.
So fertilizer.
Yeah, that they'll turn from those amino acids into ammonium. So ammonifying bacteria goes from poop or dead organisms to ammonium. Nitrogen fixing bacteria gets nitrogen straight from the atmosphere into ammonium. And then there's this sort of middleman bacteria called nitrifying bacteria. So plants can soak up ammonium. They can get their nitrogen that way. But they can also get nitrogen in this form called nitrate. So instead of as ammonium, as nitrate. And there's a bacteria that just converts ammonium to nitrate. And these are called the nitrifying bacteria. So 3 different bacteria convert nitrogen into something usable for plants. And then there's just a 4th bacteria, which doesn't give anything to the plants. All it does is it completes the nitrogen cycle. What it poops out is essentially atmospheric nitrogen, and it'll complete the cycle that way. In Module 6, we'll learn about a bunch of different cycles, and we'll revisit the nitrogen cycle. But it all comes down to bacteria giving nitrogen to plants from nitrogen in the atmosphere. So that's kind of one of the main ways plants get nitrogen. Some plants also have kind of weirder nutritional adaptations. When nitrogen is particularly low in an environment, they resort to less common ways to get that nitrogen. And so you've probably heard of the carnivorous plants, like the Venus flytrap. There's a lot of nitrogen in living organisms, particularly animals, are full of proteins, which are full of nitrogen. So Venus flytraps and other carnivorous plants, like pitcher plants, that's a victory bell and a weeping bell in Pokemon. The Venus flytrap, which is a carnivine in Pokemon. Basically, they resort to capturing animals alive, disintegrating them, and then getting the nitrogen straight from that source. So kind of a cool mechanism for them to just get nitrogen. There are 2 other kind of lesser known ways plants will get resources. Some of these are called epiphytic plants, so epiphytes. They are sort of kind of just taking advantage of a good situation. They live off of trees, but they don't take any resources from the tree. They sort of just grow on that tree, and they can collect water and any kind of nitrogenous compounds that fall in them. Usually they'll be shaped in almost this kind of bowl shape where the water can pool up, and they can get their resources that way. And then the last one are parasites, parasitic plants. These we aren't talked about much, but especially within the next month, you will all be kind of familiar with one parasitic plant. That's mistletoe for the Christmas season. Mistletoe is actually a parasite. It will bind to kind of oak trees and other trees and just leach off of it. I don't know where the tie between that and kissing under the mistletoe came from, but mistletoe, there you go, is a parasite actually, just lives off of other plants. All of these adaptations primarily used to kind of get access to nitrogen, just the different unique ways that they went about doing it. So that's kind of the gist of plant nutrition. When we talk about nutrition, I kind of show you first the system that plants develop and then what animals move on to. But before we move on to animals, any questions with the plant nutrition? You want to be familiar with what mycorrhizal fungi do, the different types of nitrogen-fixing bacteria, and their relationship to the nitrogen cycle. And you want to be just sort of aware, but not know you don't need to know the heavy details, but just know that these three different adaptations exist in plants too: epiphytes, parasitic plants, and carnivorous plants. But they all sort of add to this story that plants are constantly kind of relying on other organisms to get their nutrients. All right, well, if that's, if there are no questions, then we can move on to animals, where things get a bit more interesting, in my opinion, because animals are closer to home for us. Understanding animal nutrition gives us a better understanding of nutrition and digestion in humans as well. So first of all, when it comes to nutrition and the way animals acquire food, is regardless of the animal we're looking at, whether it's this kind of python or something as simple as one of the sponges that we saw early in Module 4, nutrition and acquiring nutrients always involves 4 steps. And those are ingestion, digestion, absorption, and elimination. So we constantly go through this process whenever we're eating food. Ingestion is literally just the process of it kind of getting into your mouth. So this python right now is kind of in the act of ingestion. It goes in. Once it's in there, in your mouth, and that mouth, you've kind of shut your mouth and started chewing, this is the first step of digestion. Digestion starts at that chewing process. You send it down your gullet, down your esophagus, into your stomach. This is all digestion. Once it gets into your intestines, though, after the stomach, we enter the absorption phase. So at the intestinal, at the point of the intestine, the food has been kind of churned up to a high degree. The intestines are in charge now of absorbing those nutrients. And then lastly, just like the book says, everybody poops. That's elimination. So we're going to kind of walk through this process, but the digestion one is one that can be broken up in 2 ways. So, ingestion is just getting it into your mouth. Elimination, pooping, right? Absorption, uptaking the nutrients. So getting from, the sort of hollow part inside of your intestine into the actual cells themselves. That's the absorption. Digestion can happen one of 2 ways, and we call them mechanical and chemical digestion. So mechanical is just kind of physically breaking food down. So when we chew, that's mechanical digestion. We're literally getting a big piece of whatever it is and making it smaller. Mechanical digestion. Chemical digestion is whenever molecules and enzymes are involved. What kind of we often take for granted is when we're chewing, we're also chemically digesting. What do you produce as you're chewing?
Saliva.
Saliva, right? And saliva actually has an enzyme in it that starts to break down starches. So some of the nutrients in food. That enzyme is called amylase. But yeah, it basically starts the chemical digestion process too. So, digestion evolved from something, and like I said, even the most rudimentary animals have these 4 steps of ingestion, digestion, absorption, and elimination. So when we look at some of the most basic organisms like a hydra, or more familiarly, a sponge, their digestive system is extremely simple. They just have what's called a gastrovascular cavity. It's also referred to as an incomplete digestive system. The reason it's called incomplete, when we think of a complete digestive system, you kind of have an entrance and an exit. Sponges and some other more kind of ancestral animals just have one hole, a mouth and an anus. It kind of goes in and goes out. It's 2-way traffic. And basically what they'll do is kind of food, nutrients will enter the mouth, and then they've just got 2 layers of cells. Even though you can see a sponge grow very large, usually it's just 2 lines of cells. The outermost layer, kind of shown here in yellow, which just provides protection for that sponge. And then the inner layer, which is actually doing the absorption. It's kind of whatever nutrients hit that, the cell eats them up, and then it releases waste as well. And then the waste kind of comes back out of the mouth. So as food is coming in, food is also going out. So the analogy I usually use is Kirby here. Whenever he sucks in an opponent, he's basically a gastrovascular cavity. He kind of poops it out his mouth too. And this is how you can imagine these organisms with incomplete digestive systems. All goes in and out the same hole. And inside, just like you might imagine with Kirby, it's basically just hollow inside. It's just the cells lining his inside that are doing the work. But other than that, nutrients just kind of run into the cells and get absorbed that way. So when you think gastrovascular cavity and incomplete digestive system, maybe think of Kirby. We relate this, more on the gastrovascular cavity there. We compare this instead to Yoshi, where he also eats his opponents, but he poops them out as an egg. This is the complete digestive system. So an entrance and an exit, mouth and anus. And we refer to this no longer as a gastrovascular cavity. We call it an alimentary canal. So those vocab terms. Gastrovascular cavity really only applies to those with an incomplete digestive system. Most of the animals we think of have complete ones though. Basically, if you can think of an animal as having an anus, it's got a complete digestive system, and therefore an alimentary canal. And so, as we look at Yoshi, kind of going from into his mouth to out his anus, we're going to work on the last activity for the day, which I think is among the most useful activities you might do in this module. Because it basically sums up the digestive system in one page. It looks really complicated at first, but if you can kind of master this, then you've got the digestive system down, essentially. So what we're going to do is you have a word bank here, and we're going to try to complete the whole word bank of this concept map. So it might take a bit of time because you'll see kind of goes all over the place, but the main skeleton structure goes essentially from mouth to anus. If you imagine this as being a human body, this is, at the top is where the mouth is, and it's going to eventually come out your culo, as my son calls it. Oh, you hurt my culo, Daddy.
How old is he?
3. Yeah, so I know, culo is like a more offensive word in some cultures. In Spain, it's like saying
Spanish.
But it's gotten me in trouble a couple times already at daycare.
No.
Oh, I'm reading what it says right here.
Oh, I can't.
There's a word bank. Well, I'll probably open it up and look at it so we can get there.
Oh, you just no. Okay. 1. Esophagus is after the mouth, so we can see it here. Mouth. You start at the mouth. Can we do that?
Yes. Right down that.
After your mouth, can we
Go
agree
with
teeth?
Esophagus.
We have. Okay, so our options are mouth, teeth, stomach, tongue. Ooh. Do you use your tongue or your mouth? Or your teeth first?
It goes to your mouth, your teeth, then your tongue.
Yeah, and so try and get the easy
because
ones
remember,
out of the
to
way,
put it in
because
your mouth, then
then you'll
it's
be able to kind of
mechanical
rule
and then
out
chemical.
some of the harder
Okay,
terms.
gotcha. So tongue.
No, teeth.
Oh my.
Mechanical, chemical.
Okay.
Because your saliva, your tongue has
That's
the saliva.
afterwards. Okay, gotcha. And so then it's tongue. Okay, tongue has what?
Tongue is third.
Has
Oh, sorry,
amylase. That's what he
amylase.
said.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. It has that, which is like the spit.
Yeah, gluten amylase.
Has tongue has tongue has what? For manipulating food has most.
I actually don't know.
What's the little things on your
Back
tongue?
at what?
Like the little ones.
No.
What your tongue is made up of, like other than
I don't know.
maybe it's not like
Okay, after this is this esophagus?
Like, are you talking about the uvula? Or
No, that's the top.
That'd be a little farther down, I think. But
That's fat.
What?
That's pancake.
okay.
Okay, let's just get that. After this is the esophagus.
Yeah. Okay.
ESOPHAGUS.
Food moves by.
Do I forget? This is a lot.
Moves by. Go esophagus goes to what? Your pancreas.
I wanna say.
The small intestine is over here. Wait.
I wanna say yes. Pancreas.
Yeah, I'm searching for pancreas. Oh yeah. It is. So it's pancreas, small intestine, large intestine.
I'm saying large intestine, that's small intestine.
Well,
Oh
you're
no no no
saying
no
it
no no
down here.
no no it's small intestine, large and large intestine. Yeah.
oh, he gave us
You gonna fill it out with what we have here?
I was just like, so it'd be easier for me to just to look.
Okay. Small intestine, large intestine.
What number are you?
Right now, we just filled out 12.
Yeah, we just fill it with small intestine.
12 goes to the small intestine, you said?
12 is small intestine.
Okay. Oh yeah, and then it goes to large intestine.
12 is small intestine, and then it has okay.
Pancreas has muscles, which is oblique. Okay. Circular. And what other? I'm sorry, ileum.
I think you're right. Like I'm trying to remember so much. I remember doing this my
Taking
first.
a nap.
I remember doing this my first one seminar.
Is that a seminar?
Yeah. I remember doing this my first seminar. It was my first semester.
Pancreas.
Would 18 be anus?
What?
Would it? Is 18? Is it anus?
Well, it says right there, rectum.
Yeah.
Is opening for.
Oh no, I don't think it's on here. See?
It's
Okay.
the opening for.
Okay, let's skip that.
Waist.
Open for waist.
Opening.
Where would liver go? Liver would go. Liver would go on something in small intestine. It would be right.
I think. What hangs like a curtain?
What hangs like a curtain, Professor?
What's that?
What hangs like a curtain? What hangs like a curtain?
What hangs like a hangs like a curtain, yeah. Oh,
Okay.
we'll see.
What?
Roll out the obvious ones and then.
Okay. So where would the liver? Let's go. Where would the liver go? It would be something connected to the small intestine. I'd assume so.
Okay.
Or yeah,
We'll
'cause-
literally see some of it next in
Next week?
1102. Yeah.
What do we do next week?
Cut some shit up. Frogs.
Okay.
Frogs and fetal pigs will be able to identify this structure.
Are we each getting one, or
I'm not sure. I think we might. With the frogs, we might have enough for one per person. The fetal pig, it's usually one per pair.
how big is the fetal pig?
It's a big.
It's like this big.
Oh my god.
That's big.
Yeah.
How much does it weigh? Oh, they stick?
Yeah. Oh yeah. They smell.
Oh, great.
You'll know when it's time to dissect the fetal pig.
You're gonna walk in and be like.
Yeah, you'll walk into the lab and you'll be like, oh, I guess we're dissecting fetal pigs today.
Mhm.
Before you see anything. Smell it.
After that, what else are we dissecting?
That's it. That'll be the last dissection.
And after that, how much left is there for the lab?
Just one sort of mini lab.
And after that, we're done? And we have to find?
Yeah.
What about the
We're
failing
almost there.
students?
What's that?
What about the failing students?
Which one?
The failing students.
The failing students? Oh, well, yeah, that's extra credit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Digestive system is composed of accessory organs such as gallbladder, liver.
Yes, liver.
Wait, liver produces or liver breaks down? No, it produces, right?
What would a liver break down?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Liver produces.
We have gingium, ileum, ministry.
Liver produces.
Oh, okay. Oh, here. Yeah, no. 18 is anus. 18.
Oh.
Yeah, there is anus on here.
Okay. Oh, that's the
Yeah. Absorbs nutrients. Stomach.
Where?
We have stomach. Stomach. Where would it go? Would it go stomach as well? Yeah, okay. Wait, food becomes.
But think of it kind of like putting, let's say, all your food in a blender, and then like food.
Isn't that pancreas an accessory?
Yeah, would it be esophagus, stomach? Yeah, it'd be esophagus, stomach. Right?
Esophagus, stomach, small intestine. Wait,
If stomach.
esophagus, small intestine, stomach, large intestine.
Wait, what was small intestine? Has. Where's the top of the stomach? Oh, wait. So would this be stomach? No, or would this be pancreas? Because this is stomach. So this is pancreas.
Isn't it lower? You want to search up that? Only for that, everything else.
Yes.
Because if that's wrong,
I just want to see where pancreas is. Yeah, it was stomach, then pancreas. Pancreas is in between large intestine and small intestine. Like it's on top of the small intestine.
Oh
So-
no.
So would it be this?
Oh no.
Where did you put liver?
Liver as an accessory.
Oh.
Not too sure.
And here's the pancreas.
So it's not gonna be here though. Which fold? Body fold?
Body folds. Wouldn't that be pancreas? Where's fold? Where's fold? Hey, Mike. Top of stomach would be pancreas. Stomach.
What would be the top one?
Trying to figure it out. Where's the colon? And where's the colon?
Esophagus moves by. Deny. Esophagus food moves by. Cardiac sphincter.
Maybe.
That's all the way at the bottom. If I
Is it
remember that
sphincter like
correctly.
in the middle? It's cardiac. It's cardiac. Like heart.
I'm thinking of what?
Would large intestine function to the colon? Look at it. It would be the functions to where it has. Which I don't get how it would be this. Wouldn't it be?
What would it consist of if it goes on 15?
Is what I'm trying to figure out. I don't think it would.
I think it absorbs nutrients.
So where would that go?
No, it functions to large intestine functions to absorb nutrients.
Isn't the large intestine so exposed though?
It's to absorb like water or like stuff like that.
So it would be absorbed water. So it would be absorbed water.
Is there absorbed?
Yeah, it's right next to the colon. It's the,
Oh, then there you go.
yeah.
But yeah.
Nice.
27 absorbed water. And then small intestine would be absorbed nutrients, right? So that would be
I don't know what it is.
food. So that would be
Cardiac. The cardiac sphincter is the top of the stomach.
Oh, okay. Has anyone ever got this right,
Yeah.
like without your help, like?
Without my help, yeah. Actually, there's, yeah, with the both semesters I've taught this, there's been at least one team both semesters that got it all right.
Maybe one of them was taking anatomy.
What's that?
Maybe one of them was taking anatomy.
Maybe, yeah.
The semester before. It's been in
You just have to have the confidence. Maybe they were just all confident. Think about that, Jose.
Maybe they cheated. Okay, so absorbs nutrients. Where would you put absorbs nutrients? It would be small. It would be small intestine.
Hold on, let's go back over here. Tongue has salivary glands for teeth.
What the fuck? So wouldn't it be? So wouldn't it be tongue? So wouldn't it be tongue? What the fuck? So wouldn't it be tongue? How did we not read that?
Salivary glands for
Hey. Don't worry, there's 4 other teams.
It's not a-
I wonder how far the teams are.
Maybe we were too confident.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, who here thinks they're halfway done? Okay, okay.
Guessing away.
More 3/4 done.
No.
No. Alright. We'll do 5 more minutes and then we'll all go through this.
I'm gonna say tongue.
So wouldn't it be tongue, teeth? No.
Yeah, right.
Salivary glands for breaking down. Is that one of them? For not absorbing nutrients.
Oh.
no,
No.
For producing.
Forest teeth.
Boris teeth?
Right, for
Yeah, cause chewing.
Wait.
So wouldn't salivary glands be
Boris
amylase?
teeth?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wait, that makes.
The
Wouldn't it be
mouth
teeth
has
then tongue?
mouth has teeth for chewing.
Wouldn't it
Wait, but tongue has.
I mean, well, your mouth has got multiple things, right?
But wouldn't it be teeth first? After you put it in your mouth, wouldn't it be teeth?
It begins with the
Well,
mouth.
think about like,
and it has
after
teeth,
that word
which is for
has,
chewing.
right? The arrows just go in different directions. It's not in any order though, right?
Okay, so the mouth.
I mean, I would assume
The
it'd be
mouth
in order
has
because of
salivary
the
glands
number.
for the tongue.
Ah, I see what you mean. No, I mean, just follow the arrows.
I think
though,
so, yeah.
So,
For-
So
Wait,
it's not, so the
wouldn't it
numbers
be
aren't in any
has
specific,
tongue
so
or
it doesn't make it
manipulating
go in any.
they're like in a
specific-
general, but not, yeah,
I
not
would've said
necessarily like this one
manipulating.
comes first.
Manipulating.
Okay, so wouldn't this be amylase then?
For.
I would wait.
Or amylase for manipulating food?
No. I would say tongue.
No, so this would be mouth.
No. Function. Digestive functions to absorb nutrients.
Oh,
Okay,
okay, so that's a.
nutrients and then yeah.
Okay, that's so confusing.
You got
Why
that?
didn't think we knew it? Okay.
You just.
Salary
mind
plan.
fuck.
With consent.
No.
I don't know if I consented to all this.
I don't know.
Mouth has tongue. Okay, and then salivary glands for.
Now.
I want to say the amylase.
What is a rugae? I don't know.
Producing.
Rugae?
Yeah.
I'll describe an easy way to remember it. Later.
Amylase. Okay, esophagus moves. Food. Wait, mouth goes to. Esophagus.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, food moves by. Okay, hold on. Peristalsis. Where would I go? I remember this. Peristasis. Peristasis. I would go. Dang. I want to say peristasis. I want to say, but I could be wrong. I think I'm wrong. Peristasis. Peristasis moves the food, right?
Peristalsis?
Yeah.
She's getting it.
There's a lot of things. There's a lot of things.
Is it still recording?
Yeah.
Let it
She
record.
probably just got the whole tongue has salad.
I'm just gonna leave it.
Yeah, this is the funny part. But
All right, so since I'm assuming everyone is done.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now let's go ahead and go through what we
Mistakes.
can. So first, I'll kind of treat it as a free-for-all. You get to choose. We'll go team by team, and y'all choose any cell you want to fill in that you feel confident about, and then we'll go through the rest. So we'll go in back. Well, we'll start with team one. Team 1A here.
We are?
The mouth.
What do y'all want to fill in?
We want to
Mouth.
Mouth. One is absorbing nutrients.
1, absorbing nutrients. Everyone got that? Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
So y'all are good. Here, let me make my little texty
Okay,
box.
which one are we gonna choose?
Yeah, absorbing
We're gonna have to
nutrients
follow
now. Okay, team 1B, what do y'all want to fill in? It doesn't have to be like, which one? 3, mouth. Yeah, there, yeah, let's do, I mean, do the easy ones first, right? Someone else is gonna
It's
get
like
them if not.
Jenga.
Mouth, okay, team 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's difficult.
Ooh, 11, the fundus, going, all right, going for some more
11?
difficult ones. Yes. is the fundus, and we'll find out later
Is it actually?
what that even is.
Is
Yeah, it's the top of the stomach.
Okay.
I have a way to remember that, but it actually doesn't make any sense.
Okay.
So might not be useful. But
Wait,
fundus
so-
comes from the Latin word, which in Spanish is fondo.
Fondo?
Al fondo.
But that would be more at the
The
bottom.
bottom, yeah, that's why it doesn't make any sense because it's the top of the stomach.
Okay.
So I don't know. Maybe the person who first found the fundus had the body upside down.
Yeah, he was upside down.
Yeah. How about Vincent? You wanna fill in one of these?
I want to say 4 is teeth.
Teeth. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Teeth for chewing. Salivary glands for teeth.
Actually,
Teeth for
3 is
chewing.
teeth.
All right, team 3. What do y'all want to fill in?
9 is for
Peristalsis.
I was
Yeah.
right.
9 is peristalsis, yeah. It's this process where literally it's just kind of a tube kind of constricting
It's
and
moving,
relaxing.
Yeah, it's like.
Yeah, it pushes food down. It also is why kidney stones are very painful. I'll explain that to my 1102 class.
How do you
If you're not in my 1102 class, then
How do you-
shame on
how do you
you.
get
Team 4, what do y'all want to fill in? 6 esophagus, yes. The mouth goes to the esophagus, that makes sense. All right, team 5,
There's many ways to pass it through. A lot of purple.
Naturally or not?
17.
Oh, like a little.
Where even is 17? Oh, stores waste. The rectum stores waste, yeah.
I want to picture whatever.
Yeah, they stick a camera.
That's right. All right, back around the table,
17 is what?
or back around the room to team 1.
Waste.
Wait.
Okay.
We can do 18.
18 is anus.
18, yes, anus. You, Abraham.
What? What?
Team 1B, you're next.
Call me an asshole?
Which one?
13
Rugae?
Rugae.
Yeah, rugae. So that comes
Rugae.
from Latin. Rugaes are folds,
R-U-G-A.
literally wrinkles within the stomach. Spanish arrugas are
Arrugas,
wrinkles,
uh-huh.
hence the term rugae.
Okay.
So it's literally just wrinkles,
Okay.
stomach wrinkles. Okay, team 2 here.
I'm so curious. What's the curd?
Yeah, we're curious about the curd.
You want to do 26?
26. All right.
Which hangs like a curd.
Greater momentum.
Yeah, it is the greater omentum.
Greater.
Basically,
Greater
yeah,
momentum.
it's just kind of this like pretty thin film. We'll see it in the fetal pig a little bit. We'll also see another kind of thin film, which has a different name that maybe someone else will bring up in a little bit. But moving on to team 3. Or no, Vincent, you want to take one?
Say 12 is small intestine.
12, small intestine. Yes. Ding, ding, ding.
I mean, it's right.
All right, now team 3. What? What'd you say? Oh, food. They said poo. It's like, I don't think that's on there.
Wait, what?
Yeah, food becomes chyme or chyme
Chyme.
in the stomach. So the stomach essentially turns. Want to make sure it's not a one of the vocab terms here. No, it's not. So when food enters your mouth, it becomes what's called a bolus, which just means ball. A ball of food that travels to your stomach. By the time it gets into your stomach, that ball gets kind of mixed up and becomes chyme or chyme. Team 4, next.
19 pancreas.
19 pancreas.
Yes.
Where's 19 on
Where
here?
is 19?
Oh yeah, to break down fats.
Where is it? Oh.
Yeah, one of these accessory organs, of which the gallbladder is one, the pancreas is one, and another one that we'll see later. But team 5.
Who's gonna go for 14? Sika?
14 is, yeah, cecum. It's, for us, pretty much a dead end, but for a lot of herbivores, it's sort of a little bit of a dead end in the large intestine. There's a big population of bacteria in there, which actually helps digest a lot of plant tissue that's harder to digest. It goes to the cecum, hangs out there a little while until it's ready to continue through the poop chute. 1A, team 1A, what do y'all want to do?
20 liver.
20 liver, yes. Okay, 20 liver. Let's see, let's kind of continue on this train of thought and put team 1B on the spot. What does it produce? Do y'all know by chance? The liver produces blank, which the gallbladder stores. Bile, yep. Yeah, so the liver, this is one that kind of some students get hung up on. The gallbladder just stores bile and then releases it into this next piece, but part of the small intestine. The liver is what actually produces the bile, though. All right, team 2, 2A.
The bile is secreted into the duodenum.
Yeah, the duodenum. Yeah, so it's essentially the first portion of the small intestine, which is broken up into 3 sections. All right, team 2, Vincent.
15 ileum.
15?
Yeah.
Where is this? Which did you put?
From large intestine.
Yeah.
Large intestine has 15, you said ileum?
Yeah.
Not exactly. Anyone else get 15 filled in?
I can tell you where ileum is.
Okay, yeah, we'll come back to, yeah, hold that thought then. Colon, yes.
Yeah.
So
Okay, I was right, that was
the
close.
colon has these 3 sections. The large intestine is divided into 3 sections. It has a colon. So yeah, so team 4, do y'all want to take the next one? We're almost there. We can do this. 8 is stomach, yeah. From esophagus to stomach. Okay, let's kind of run through these now. Team 5.
27 absorb water.
Functions to absorb water, yeah, primarily absorbing water. We'll kind of talk about some misconceptions. The small intestine also absorbs water, but your book kind of makes it confusing. Team 1A.
7 is ileum.
7?
Yeah.
7 is ileum, you say.
Yes.
Somebody else want to fight that? Longitudinal
What?
muscles, yeah.
That's like.
Okay.
So, yeah, one of these muscles, we'll actually see the longitudinal muscles really well in the fetal pig in 1102. All right, 1B.
24 is alien.
24 is ileum, that's right. Yeah, one of those sections of the small intestines, all of them ending in So if you're thinking about it, remember that the small intestines, all 3 of them end in
Yeah, 24, right? Is it?
24, ileum, yes. Team 2.
10 cardiac sphincter.
10, cardiac sphincter, yeah. The cardiac sphincter, which is the kind of top sphincter of the stomach, separating the esophagus from the stomach. Team 2, Vincent?
16, I put transverse.
Yeah, transverse. The 3 columns, transverse, ascending, and descending colons. Transverse. Okay, we've just got a couple left. Team 3.
2 producing amylase.
Yeah, we forgot about producing amylase over here, too. That's what those salivary glands are there for. Team 4.
Number 5.
Tongue, yes. The tongue manipulates that food and turns it into what we call that bolus shape. Team 5.
25 mesentery.
Whoa. Yeah. Yeah. 5 is the mesentery. We'll see that really well in both the frog and the pig, and it also just kind of protects the organs in general, keeps them from getting punctured. Back around to 1. I think, is there only 1 left?
I think, yeah.
2 left.
Wait, which ones are left?
There is. Oh wait, no, we have
It's just
Venus
one.
already.
It's just one.
Yeah, just 1 left.
Which is, which one?
That second section. It rhymes with bajunum. Jejunum. Yeah, all those small intestine regions end in duodenum, jejunum, and ileum.
I kind of want to play back
All right.
that video.
We got it.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah. I'll bring this back up at the beginning of class on Monday, so we can all kind of see that. But make sure you hold on to this, take pictures of it, because, yeah, this is basically all the digestive system vocabulary.
It would be cool, like, if we were to build it out
Oh yeah, Monday we've got the IRA.
without help.
So it covers plant nutrition and digestion, but there's also a little bit of circulatory system stuff too.
It'd be cool.
So-
And like, we could like assign certain areas.
All right, see y'all later.